All right. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Keenan Cornelius, and today I'm going to be bringing you a video breakdown of the EBI Finals that happened not too long ago. I believe it was actually last weekend. Um, the premise of this study will be based around these two young gentlemen, Gordansky Reynolds and Craigory Jones, two very hot commodities in the nogi scene these days. And I noticed a very unique technique. That sounds redundant. A very unique skill that both these men displayed at this particular event to varying degrees of success. And that skill that I'm talking about is their ability to finish arm bars. And as you all know, the armbar that occurred between Craig Jones on Gordon Ryan was extremely tense and tight. And everyone was on the edge of their seats wondering if Gordon Ryan was going to tap. Now, there's a very unique thing that occurred earlier in this same tournament, and the situation was very similar. So I want to talk about those two things. The first one being right here when Craig goes to set up. Oh, I should probably mute that volume. When Craig sets up this armbar here, um, watch how right at this moment here. So from this position, he's just doing a regular armbar, right? Nothing to see here. Both his legs are kind of straight. Doesn't have his feet crossed. The normal armbar. It's working. Well, it's very tight. It's not working because he's not tapping, but it's very tight. But look what he does with his feet. He crosses it up and over Gordon Ryan's shoulder. And the reason he did that was because look, Gordon was starting to do that corkscrew slash hitchhiker escape here. And as he was trying to escape, he torques his body upwards like this, trying to turn his hips to create this motion around like this to really pressure on the shoulder. And look how his thumb is pointing that way, hopefully trying to go all the way around to really pressure off the elbow. Okay? That's important to note. So, Craigory Jones noticed that he's lifting his hips like that. And in that same moment, he has to switch to this position here where he drops his knee onto his chest and puts the foot behind the head. Putting the foot behind the head like this stops Gordon's rotational movement this way, right? But also, if we progress a little further, you'll see right here, his knee sort of drops down on his chest. It's putting pressure this way. And look how it actually elevates Gordon's shoulders up off the mat. Oh, we went into this mode, but it actually elevates Gordon's shoulders up off the mat, which further stops his ability to lift his hips and turn, right? So here, Gordon drops his hips again and tries to do this, the hitchhiker escape one more time. And actually, this time, he is almost successful. And then here, he cleared the foot off of his head, and this allowed him to actually finish the full hitchhiker escape like that, like this. You can't see it because of the ref, but he finally completes the motion. Okay, so obviously it was a super tight armbar, but it did not finish Gordon. Why is that? Well, if we go over to here, we can actually see Gordon exhibiting a similar armbar finish. However, look at how he addresses the situation. It's a little different. And this is very interesting to see for me, especially having fought both these guys. I like to analyze my opponents, right? But look at this right here. The opponent on bottom is doing that same motion, the hitchhiker escape. The narrators in this event were calling it a corkscrew escape. I've never heard it called that, but I call this the hitchhiker escape. You turn your thumb out this way. It allows you to turn, releases the pressure off the elbow by pointing your elbow upwards instead, and it can help you escape the position. So look, when Craig was in this position, he opted to put this foot here. So this leg, he took it and put his foot behind Gordon's head, right? But if you watch what Gordon does, he takes actually the opposite approach. He puts his foot this way, okay, bringing his shin perpendicular to the point of contact. See this? That's important to note. Now, why is that important? Because what this is doing is it's creating sort of a stiff ridge here that's stopping this person's body from turning. Look at this. He's planting his foot all the way across his upper body, locking down the shoulder. Okay? And the difference between these two positions is one resulted in an armbar and one did not. So as this goes, you see this person tries to turn, But the pressure that's being created here on the shoulder is forcing this guy's back to the mat. See that? It's forcing the guys back to the mat. This foot is also putting pressure on the ribs to stop the rotational movement. And then instead of bringing a downward motion onto his hips and lifting up, you see Gordon's body is actually turned sideways. His body's facing this way. Whereas Craig Jones opted for a more vertical lift, but it wasn't as effective. But if you look here, the person tries to turn and look, immediately as he brings the arm across his body instead, this way, instead of down. It stops the person's rotational movement. Sorry, I don't know this guy's name. It stops his movement and forces him straight back down onto his back, resulting in the armbar. So just some key unique differences between a failed armbar attempt and a successful one. And this position is something I like to utilize a lot. And actually, I was training with Gordon, and he pointed it out to me. He said, "Hey, how did you learn that? Or how did you develop it?" And I said, "What are you talking about? I don't even know what that is." I do that, and he's like, "Yeah, it's literally your best move that you do when we train." I was like, "Oh, I really didn't even realize." But looking back now, I realize I do that position, but I wasn't really conscious of what was going on. So it was kind of cool to see it performed live in a different scenario for me to analyze and see its effectiveness, and then a variation of it which was not as effective. Um, that does, I mean, the technique doesn't take away from Gordon's ability to defend submissions, but something to think about. Maybe one of those is a little better than the others. So that will be all. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.